For Lando to put that up when he was in the hot pot this week, he was in the boiler this week, and to put that down this week, to put that win down, that was probably the biggest win of Lando Norris's career, hands down.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that was I wanted to win the world title win.
Welcome to the paddock, F1 with Greenie and the cheese. We're caffeinated. We're medicated. It's a podcast by fans for fans. Your dose of F1 news. All the races, all the tracks, and all the drama. Coming up on today's show.
Yes. Oh man, I love that damn new intro. In the paddock F1, Greenie and the cheese. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Round 20 sees F1 head to that high plateau in the Valley of Mexico. Viva la Mexico! We are in Mexico City for the Mexican Grand Prix. Do you know this, Michael? Mexico City is the largest Spanish-speaking city in the world, home to 22 million. It is also the economic and cultural hub. Did you know that, sir?
It is, Mexico City is an amazing place, very populated, very high elevated, as you know if you watch the Formula One.
7,349 feet above sea level, higher than 5 Empire State Buildings stacked. How about that? And but of course, when you're there in Mexico City, you got to stop and get some of that street food. Give me a street taco, por favor. Maybe tres street tacos, please. You got to see a lucha libre match, of course. But this ain't no travel show. This is F1 show where we're racing the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.67 miles, 17 corners, 3 DRS zones. You give it the full beans for 49 for your son of your lap. And oh man, Mexico City always throws out some fun. The first few laps are always chaos. The longest from the start line to turn 1 for the season always produces some madness, and that's what we got going in the first corner today. 4 wide heading in there, but Lando survived and was gone from that point on, as he then heads off and takes his 6th win of the season. Leclerc takes 2nd. Max rounds out the podium. We are caffeinated. We are medicated. Lots to unpack after that one. Greenie, good day, sir.
Lots to unpack. Thank you everyone for checking out the YouTube channel and checking out there as we are growing a seed into a sprout. Always good times there. So thank you all for checking it out. And of course, thank you everyone for tuning in and listening to the program from all around the world. So we, of course, appreciate that. If you check us out and want to sub to the YouTube if you haven't already, if you want to throw us, a little cup of coffee there on every single major platform that you get the audio, you can always subscribe to the show and enjoy that. And thank you all for everyone who's already subbed and appreciate all the love beyond. But we are going to give you some Formula One action because it was a wild one, Cheese. A wild one in Mexico City.
What is this?
I don't
that
even
start is
know.
That start is always straight chaos.
I guess that's where we begin. Max is off the track right at the beginning, and it just goes chaotic from there. Give me a rundown of just turn 1.
Where do you want to start? I mean, some guys, I think Leclerc didn't have the best start, but you really can recover pretty easily on the start because it's so darn long. In the turn 1, you get a little slipstream and off and away. 4 wide is pretty common going into turn 1, but of course, 4 cars going to 1 doesn't really work out. So things happen. I mean, Max holding on going through the grass was impressive. I mean, that car was just continually going sideways, just drifting and drifting. How he didn't go to the ball, I do not know. I do not know how he didn't end up in the ball there because you could just see him just scooting across there. Wheels are spinning, but he's still going sideways though. That was madness.
That was some quality dirt track racing right there.
That was some
serious race on any
yeah.
substrate, and he showed it because that is some quality. As you and I witnessed when we went down to your favorite state of the U.S., Missouri, watching some dirt racing down there. Back in the day, you remember that.
Yeah, I remember back in the day.
But yeah, Max just held on, man. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I think you really just got to go to the title fight is where we pretty much have to just go from that because there's some chaos. Lewis ended up with the 10-second penalty, but we can get into that later. Guys going off track, having to give places back, and I mean that's just pretty common in Mexico. It took a while for the stewards to go through all the madness. I mean, what were we, like 18, 20 laps in before they finished for going through all that. But Lando taking the win now is a 1-point lead over Oscar. Max is only 36 points behind. We got 4 races to go, 2 sprint races thrown in there as well. Lots of points. It is a 3-way free-for-all. Going down the stretch here.
Lando didn't just win the race. Lando dominated like old school Max style. I mean, he dominated like you would see, Vettel at times at his peak. You would see, peak drivers winning by 30 plus seconds. Yeah. And that's what he did, and that was really, really impressive because we have not seen much of these 30-second first to second place gaps this season. Really didn't see it the second half of last season, to be honest. So we haven't seen much of that, and for Lando to put that up when he was in the hot pot this week, he was in the boiler this week, and to put that down this week, to put that win down, that was probably the biggest win of Lando Norris's career, hands down.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that was I wanted to win the world title win. The momentum has been going for Lando the last few races, especially on that side of the McLaren garage. You brought it up a few weeks ago, how Oscar did the last 6-7 races. Oscar struggled last year, is not kind of his track, so that trend has continued. But Lando throwing down the win, taking the world title win, just putting lots of pressure back, on the Oscar, maybe even crushing Oscar to the point that he just fumbles it from here on out and continues with the downward spiral that he's on. Because momentum, if you get momentum in sports, especially near the end of the year, you know this from watching sports for a billion years. You usually pick the team that's hot at the end of the season. Lando's been way hotter than Oscar. Max has been hot, so it's probably going to be a Max-Lando battle down the stretch. That's where I would probably think right now. I think Oscar's going to, unfortunately, he's young. It's going to be possibly a crumble here. The only race that's coming up that's kind of fits Oscar would be Qatar, because I think he won the sprint race at Qatar last year, if I remember right. But if he's on this downward spiral and the momentum is not on his side, I mean, momentum's huge, especially when you're a driver coming on the stretch here. So,
Qatar was. I'm sorry. Qatar was the only race of the last 6 races of 2024 that Oscar Piastri put up a podium on the Grand Prix, and that was a 3rd place finish. It's just so to take you back to 2024 of the last 6 races, 1 podium, and that was Qatar. He scored points in every single race, 5th, 8th, 7th, 3rd, 10th. But that is not a championship resume. And he's repeating that now. And that is not a championship resume. If you look at the Vegas line, Lando Norris is now well in the lead on the negative line. And he is now the big-time favorite to win the 2025 championship. And a lot of people who doubted Lando Norris a lot this season, especially those Lando Norris fans out there that are listening to the show right now, you got a lot to cheer for. You got a lot to cheer for.
Absolutely. Maybe this is maybe Lando is finally, I mean, we'll see if it continues, but it's finally made that next step that we talked about in, past episodes and last season, that he just didn't have that it factor that other drivers have. I mean, I still wouldn't count Max out at this point with 4 races to go and 2 sprint races.
No, I wouldn't count that.
Because anything can happen in 2 weeks in Brazil. You know this for sure. Anything can happen in Brazil. Crazy things happen in Brazil. Crazy things happen in Brazil. Then you go to the street race in Vegas. There's a lot of things here that are coming up here that can make things go mad.
And a lot
So
of
it's still, then 36 points is not that many points. You know, Lando has a DNF or something over the next few races, and Max doesn't, and wins the race. You know, boom, you're right back in it.
Yeah, one
Especially
mechanical DNF. One mechanical DNF. First of all, Oscar, I can't see him outside of Qatar making a podium for the last 4 races here. And
with the momentum he has right now, I would completely agree.
Historically speaking, so now if you have a mechanical issue with Lando and Max wins a race, we're right back in a three-man race again. Next week, obviously, is massively pivotal because you have a 1 point difference, which we have not seen a 1 point difference with 5 races to go. Feels like 21, and maybe before that, 2012 was the last time we had this close of I have to look back in the history books, but with 5 races to go, 4 races to go.
4 races, yeah.
Being within a point, that's pretty crazy because we have not.
There's still a ton of points
exactly
on the
what we
table.
want, and the fact that the guy in third, Max Verstappen, is the 4-time reigning champion, and he's right there. And if he has a good run of it, as McLaren struggles, that could be a different story as well. So, yeah, a lot to unpack. Let me finish with this before we move on, because we're going to get to a lot more than winners and losers, and there's a lot more to talk about. But there was a moment last week after the USGP, and it was going around on the TikToks and the YouTubes. This moment where they're interviewing Lando Norris, and Max looks at him, just like off screen, but they caught a shot of Max looking at Lando off screen. And they looked at each other in a way like Max is like, I'm gonna F you up. Like, I'm coming for you. And Lando gave a look back. And I didn't know if it was like confidence or cockiness or potentially fear. I'd be afraid. But it seems after this week, this could be Lando Norris's year. And if he keeps up this intensity for the last 4 races, he will be the 2025 Formula One World Drivers' Champion. Final thoughts before we go to the cockpit, sir?
Leave it there because you're in trouble in the cockpit. So.
Oh man, I got no chance. All right, we needed a show intro at some point to the Quizmasters Cockpit, but here we go. One time around the track, we got 3 questions. Cheese, you're gonna throw at me. I'm gonna try for 3 purple sectors. If I get only one green, 1 red, anything besides my purple, we're gonna go right into the winners and losers segment. If I can get all 3 purples, which I have done many times this season, sir.
Yeah, you have.
We will go into winners. So, got the music cranked up, and we are ready to roll. So, question number 1.
Question number 1, sir. Who has the most wins at the Mexican Grand Prix in Formula One?
Oh, man. I think it's Max.
That is correct. It is Max.
Max
he has 5.
5. He won it back in 2017. So that was one of his, before his big run.
Yeah.
He had a Mexican GP under his belt.
Question number 2. So off to a good start. Lando had McLaren's first pole in Mexico since 1990. Which driver had the pole that year in a McLaren?
Senna? Prost?
Actually, Gerhard Berger.
Gerhard Berger. Of course it was. What year was that?
1990. Long time ago.
Yeah.
The last time McLaren had a pole there.
Wow.
I mean, there was a large gap when there was no Mexican Grand Prix.
There was a large gap.
There was a large gap there, but
you know why there was a large gap? Is that the final question?
No, that is not the final question.
The final question. Yes, it was mostly because of the massive pollution, and Formula One doesn't do a great job, especially at that time, not adding pollution into a gigantic valley in Mexico. So, point of interest there. So pollution-related non-third question, pollution-related, which I'm already done. We're already going to losers, so it's already over. I missed another Gerhardt Berger question, which at least once a season you got to give me a Gerhardt Berger. At least once a season, I need my Gerhardt Berger question.
He always gets you too.
Go ahead.
He always gets you
always
too.
Gets it. When in doubt.
You still want the third question.
Go ahead.
Even though you lost, you still want the third question.
Of course I want the third question.
All right.
Was that the question?
No, that is not the question. The Mexican Grand Prix has been held at one circuit. The circuit is named for two famous Mexican racing brothers. What are their names?
Oh, I knew that. Oh, man. Oh. Well, yeah. I don't know.
Oh, no? Just going to go with don't know?
I don't know. I'm not going to embarrass myself.
All right. That's fine. That was a tough question. Ricardo and Pedro Rodriguez.
I knew this at one time. I knew that at one time. I read a book one time about... Once I read a book. No, I'm looking about the history of the Mexican Grand Prix and history of Mexican racing, and it is very interesting. As you know, Mexico City is really the only racetrack is in the middle of the largest city in Mexico. It's really only been, which is very, very interesting as far as global racing goes. So it's extremely interesting. But I did remember reading that at one time, and I should have brushed up a little bit better in my homework. So of course that takes us to losers. So I'm a loser, and we got plenty of losers, I'm sure, this week. So go for it, man.
Right off the bat, just Alpine, another just disastrous weekend for Alpine. I mean, they are gone. They were on a little bit of an upward swing there, and then it's just gone crashing right back down. Reality is set back in. Just absolute stink right now for Alpine. I'm going to give it to Lewis and probably a little bit of Ferrari too, just because of the 10-second penalty that he had. Had a chance for a double podium.
Absolutely.
Probably the team should have said, give some time back, maybe give it just a position back, just to cover your ass. A little CYA probably should have been in the cars today, but didn't happen. And then you get a 10-second penalty and takes you right the hell out of everything. So, yeah, disappointing. Those would be my losers.
Yeah, I mean, you go a lot of different directions. I'm looking at Racing Bulls because they were riding high on the Bulls just a few weeks ago, and Hadjar even had his best weekend going into the race that he had in a while, and you had some expectations here, and they really just spit the bit today. You really saw the really potential for some points for the Racing Bulls today, and they kind of blew it. And with that, I'm going to go also with Yuki Tsunoda, who also should have finished in the points as well. You're going back a few races, and you had 4 between the Red Bull and Racing Bulls in the points, and now you got an 11th and 12th, but you also I'm sorry, and 11th and 13th with Isaac Hadjar. But definitely on the absolute downward swing from the back end, outside of Max Verstappen, which who makes podium, interesting day for him as well. He could have finished off the podium, but we'll get to Max in a minute. And those are my losers for the week, which takes us into winners. I'm sure you got plenty of those too.
I am going to give Charles Leclerc, absolutely. Great drive. Another podium. I think it was that back-to-back podiums for Charles, too? Did he get a podium last time out? I can't remember. Had a little too much medication.
US? Yeah, he
did. That's back-to-back podium. So that's
podium.
I mean, they're starting to extract a lot out of the car. Charles was kind of on it most of the weekend, too. Really actually challenging Lando for pole. So showing a lot of pace this weekend. Virtual safety car there at the end definitely saved his bacon to get second. But he was going to finish on the podium there anyway. So just another great drive for Charles. Bortoletto finishing 10th in the points. First time he finishes in the points, not starting in a points placing position to start the race. So coming
my
up
thunder
through...
and fact, sir. That was my fact of the week. That was my fact of the week, but
Sorry about that, sir.
But that's okay.
Sorry about that, sir.
No, it's all good. All good.
But yeah, definitely got to give it up to him. That's a huge thing for Sauber too, just to come up through the field as well. So great performance by Bortoletto. Those be my winners.
Hey, listen. It's the first one's going to be unconventional here, but I'm going to go with Oscar Piastri, even though he's now in second, and people are not going to like that. But the rationale behind it is that he could have really finished like 7th or 8th today because he was sagging big time. And he pulled it out at the back end of the race. And even though he should be in like the losers column for sure, he did pull out those last 20 plus laps or so. He pulled out. If he was a little bit quicker, a little bit earlier on, he would have finished 4th and for sure passed Ollie, which I think he was like a second and a half behind Ollie, who finished, which of course I'll go into, not just Haas. Let's give Haas the big win of a double points. Let's say to get double points for Haas, but of Ollie Bearman, still a rookie. It's unbelievable how we talk about him so many times in the winners in the Haas. But you got to give it up to Ollie Bearman, who finishes 4th, his best finish ever. Got to be pumping your fist for that one. Held off Oscar down the stretch there. Finished. Of course, the virtual safety car put a little closer to Max towards there at the end, but got to give it up to Ollie. Great weekend all around. And putting some more points on the board. And that Bearman line of 7 points, he's passed that long ago, sir. So he passed it all in one race right here. So good for him. And he don't need no Ferrari to score, man. He did better
Haas's best finish ever.
Haas's best finish ever. Ever. And Ollie's best finish ever as well. So, glorious day. Absolute glorious day for the Haas fans and all 5 of us. So, which of course brings us to my favorite sound clip of the week.
I need to slap my goddamn foot for that.
Am I taking this one?
Send it your way this week, sir.
I take this one. I'm actually fired up about this because this guy's been pissing me off for the last few weeks here, and that's James Vowles. And I've stood up for James Vowles many, many times, but listen, another terrible weekend, back-to-back terrible weekends, and I'm pretty sure about 3 weeks ago, he starts popping up on every single, news feed across the world, because obviously he hired up some PR agent, and, he comes out with this whole idea of a 2-day race weekend and how it's going to affect this and how, we can add, 25 or 26 races if we go to this 2-week race. How about you get some points? Okay, James Vowles? How about you put some points on the board? Because this back-to-back awful weekends and boneheaded moves last week. Carlos had some terrible moves this week. Carlos's car, I don't know if it was him. I don't know if it was a mechanical issue. The race just ended about an hour here ago. So I couldn't tell you exactly what the exact cause of that was. It seems mechanical, but that definitely screwed up Max's chances of coming in second there because Max definitely would have passed Charles Leclerc if it wasn't for that virtual safety car at the end there. But I don't know what's going on. That was a bad 8-day stretch. If you can have a terrible 8 days, Williams, and you got to go right to the top, James Vowles. And they were talking about just 3 weeks ago, how Williams, one of the storied teams in history, the 3rd most winningest team in Formula One history, is finally coming back and finally making the right moves. And James Vowles this and James Vowles that. And just to be terrible the last 2 weeks, from everything from driver issues, mechanical issues, communication issues between the pit wall and the drivers. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think James Vowles should slap himself, and maybe some of the people on that inner office should slap him too.
I mean, you've defended him. I've pretty much busted him up a bunch during the season. Just not liking the performance and the way that the team had been going. I mean, before the last few races, they give you like they show you something and then they take like 2-3 steps back, and that's just how the team's been for the last couple seasons with James in charge. So, but I cannot disagree with anything you said there, sir. Oh yes, it's the best damn sound of the week. So take that fantasy ride to the fantasy island of Greentopia. When the beer flows like wine, the wine flows like beer, and that cannabis, oh yes, my friends, that cannabis grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it out there. Look at it. Green and luscious. Just keeps going on, just like that Iowa corn. Take a little whiff. Ah, goddamn. That air smells fantastic. Take a little walk to the top of the hill, tickets in hand. I had a ton of bets today. I had fistfuls of tickets to this week. Take a walk to the top of the hill, sit at the top. Are we cashing in or are we checking out?
You put some tickets in today.
I went mad.
You did go with fistfuls of tickets, sir. These were serious fistfuls of tickets. If this was actually real money, I would have to call you have a gambling problem. But I don't even know if you ended up winning or losing in the end here because I have a lot of tickets to go through. But let's go through them really, really quickly. You had Leclerc to win. That didn't happen. You had Lewis to win. Obviously, that was an absolute disaster. You had Lewis in a couple different trifectas here. My lord. But you did have the Norris-Leclerc Max box plus 300, so you hit that. You had Oscar on podium. You had Russell on podium. None of those happened. You did have the Haas double top 10, so you won 2 of your 10 bets.
Yeah.
But that was a 225 payout and a 300 payout. So it's going to get you pretty close to even. I'm going to have to get my calculator out for this. But 100, hang on. 100, and then another 75... 85, 185. So you did lose. You started with 250. Give me a second here. So you have negative 65 greeny bucks on the day. Not terrible. Obviously, you wanted the big payout. I had Red Bull at the fastest lap. It actually ended up being Mercedes with the fastest lap. And I believe George Russell hitting that fastest lap at the end. I didn't see that one coming. And I had Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton box plus 300. I also had Charles Leclerc top 2 plus 100. Hit that. Should not have hit that, as I aforementioned, because we should not have had that Williams mess, but I will take it. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Actually, it's always better to be lucky than good. And I hit the trifecta for my first time in like a year plus. I hit the trifecta on the day that Ollie Bearman puts up Haas's best day ever. And on a day where my son's football team makes the playoffs, 5-0, finish an undefeated regular season, head into the playoffs undefeated. So let's go that. So on another note, I had that plus 550, so that was a big win there for me. So plus 550 on a 50 greeny buck would be 6.5x. That would be plus 325 greeny bucks. So, sir, you're around 3,400 something. I'm at around 3,875 to your 3,400. So now I have opened up close to a 400 greeny buck lead with that. Finally, the trifecta hit. You got a little work to do going down the stretch here. But as we are so close, we do have to go back to the beginning of the season. And maybe on our next week off, we will revisit the beginning of the season where we made 5 bets each. 5 bets at 50 greeny bucks a pop. So we're going to have to go back to those and check out if those were winners and losers and see where we are. Because don't forget, we got something. You might have something in your back pocket there. We'll see. We'll tease that a little bit. We'll check that out in the next, because we are off next week, I believe. Correct?
2 weeks. 2 weeks to Brazil.
2 weeks to Brazil. So I'm sure between now and Brazil, we will throw in the, we'll go back and check that out. And if you haven't and you want to go back to the preseason show, you can check that out yourself and see who was right and who was wrong before the season even started. cheese brings us to the final segment of the week, and that is In the News. In the news. Give me some news. We didn't even talk about it pre-show, actually.
No, we didn't. That's all right, though. I got a few things for you here, actually. Apparently, Christian Horner has $1.5 billion to buy a team or start his own F1 team. Thoughts on that? He wants back on the grid somehow. He wants it bad.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd want it that bad and risk that much. If I had $1.5 billion and, you know, Horner's around the same age as us pretty much, and I went through everything he went through, I don't know if I would get back into it again. The guy's got some, you know, some ambition, but if I had a $1.5 billion, I would just take a step away. Get some,
I don't think it's all his cash.
Gigantic, ridiculous house on some lake somewhere and just live my life, man.
I don't think it's.
But that's just me.
All his cash. The man does have a lot of cash.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of cash. That's a lot of scunol, though. Well, that's about, you know, I think that's something about the amount that Cadillac has spent so far getting themselves into Formula One here. So
yeah, but that's Cadillac. That's not an individual.
Well, I'm sure, you know, he's got some backers and, you know, man's won a bunch of world titles, so he's going to have people that will throw money at it.
Absolutely.
So, moving on.
Go to
Mohammed
Mars.
Ben
I would go to Mars.
Sullivan will remain as the F1 president after Tim Mayer withdraws. Are you really shocked about that?
No. Formula One is just continuing down an interesting path. I know they have, you know, they do really well in the Middle East. They really want to keep that contingent part there because they really want to keep that quad region of Formula One, right? You have the you know, Japan, China, Australia side. You want to keep that locked down. You want to keep everyone happy there. They keep Honda happy. They keep the folks happy over there. You know, you want to go into you know, into the Middle East. You want to keep people and connections there. Same with Europe and same with the U.S. So they have their 4 distinct areas that they need to keep happy within. And, you know, having the FIA president, who some could say he has done a very good job. Others can say he has not. He has made some questionable decisions. We can get into all that. But in the end, the devil you know is better than the one you don't sometimes, and they're making a ton of money. And until they see any kind of downturn, I mean, they have the Apple deal. You're not going to pull out your president in the middle of a potential, you know, Apple deal. Not that I don't know his exact involvement in the deal, but you don't want to shake, no pun intended, the apple cart when you're dealing with those situations. That's I mean,
everything has increased since he's been in charge. Ratings have gone up. The money's coming in buttloads now. Was the guy really going to lose his job, or, you know, running against somebody, or is pretty much? I think the other, you know, mayor probably pulled out because he knew he wasn't going to have the votes to win. So, I mean, everything's gone in the positive direction since, you know, Solomon's been in charge here. So do you really think that's really going to change? No, I don't really think anything was going to change with that. So it's not really shocking at all.
All right, what else you got?
There was a data breach back in June at the FIA, and Mac's passport was accessed along with some other information from some other drivers. How about that?
Listen, if you do not have some kind of antivirus protection or something on your phone and your computer to protect your stuff, man, get it, because these people are everywhere. If you haven't got, you know, these shady calls on your cell phone or text messages or, you know, shady emails or requests for proposals people send you all the time that are, you know, all viruses, and they're getting really good with AI, and you got to be really, really, really careful. And the best way to do that is get some kind of antivirus. And if there's any kind of antivirus or tech company that wants to sponsor our antivirus segment, in the Paddock F1, in the PaddockUSA@gmail.com, in the PaddockUSA@gmail.com, hit us up.
I mean, everything gets hacked nowadays. It's not really surprising. Final story for you. Apparently, if Ferrari is not competitive next season, Leclerc is looking to leave Ferrari. I'm not shocked by that. Man wants to win a world title.
I think besides Max Verstappen, overall, I think Charles Leclerc has probably been the best driver in Formula One this season. The car is not great, and you know that. And Ferrari should have had a much better season. They put out a junk car, and Charles Leclerc knows it, and people are whispering in his ear more and more, and I think there might be yelling in his ear now that you're a really good driver and you can compete for a World's Drivers' Championship. If I had Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri in the same exact car racing whatever track, are you going to bet against Leclerc versus Piastri in equal cars?
Probably not.
So I think the only person I would legit, if equal, all things are equal, would be Max Verstappen. Maybe George Russell. But I think those are your top three drivers of the season. No offense to McLaren, but their car was so superior this season that
I think that's fair.
We'll see what happens with Lando down the stretch. Looks like Lando might be one of the best drivers down the stretch here, but which again makes the entire season interesting. But back to your original point, who knows anymore as well. We'll see what happens in 2026. 2026 is going to change everything. New regs are going to change everything. And I think silly season 2026 summer break is going to be freaking bananas.
Wild.
Bananas.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Especially with 11 teams now.
Yeah, I can figure that.
All right. We mentioned before, but where are we going next, sir?
We're going to Brazil in 2 weeks. Sao Paulo, baby.
Pack your bags.
All kinds of crazy things always happen in Interlagos, baby.
Yeah. Well, those listening on YouTube and watching the YouTube show, enjoy the brand new sign-off here that Cheese was begging for. So that'll be coming up here in a moment. It's playing right now. Thank you all for joining us. See what you got to say, brother.
I will catch you guys next week for an In the News special in 2 weeks from Brazil. And as always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.
With Greenie and the cheese. And they know their way around the track. When you need the facts, you can trust them. They won't steer you wrong. Always right on time. They know their way around a microphone. And it's all right. 'Cause they do with Greenie and the cheese.